Welcome, everyone, and thank you so much for joining this exciting webinar that we have. We've titled it Building Financial Institutions Resilience Through Capacity Building. My name is Tariro Nyimo, and I am the Head of Stakeholder Engagement and Fundraising at Digital Frontiers. This webinar has two anchor organizations that are going to represent and sort of like give us context to what the program is all about that we'll be introducing today. So there is CAP Plus Exchange, and then there's GHAMFIN. And then we also have the Digital Finance Practitioners Association in Ghana, which is a big part of the program as well. And then we have Digital Frontiers Institute alumni who are going to also be sharing with us and contributing to the conversation of building capacity within digital financial services and their contribution to the First Plus 2 project. Now, Digital Frontiers is in partnership with CAP Plus under the First Plus 2 project. And this project is an initiative. It's a scale up from First 1, now First Plus 2, which is building its financial institution resilience and strengthening within Ghana. It's a specific program within Ghana, and we'll hear more about that. But the part that Digital Frontiers Institute is contributing to is capacity building. And we're going to talk about the journey that we've created to skill and reskill with a focus on young women in Ghana and to build that resilience within financial services that are serving specifically MSMEs and the agricultural value chains market. So before I start talking too much, I'm going to hand over to Richard Obobi so he can give us context from CAP Plus Exchange, from the CAP Plus Exchange side. So I'll hand over to you, Richard.
Thank you very much, Dario. Welcome, everyone. It's a privilege to be here to give the opening remarks. Dario mentioned a few things about you had First Plus, you had women, you had youth. That's what the whole program focuses on. So it's First Plus, so that's the financial institution resilience and strengthening. And Plus 2, so the Plus 2 talks about Phase 2. So in Phase 2, but one of the things that we'll be addressing will be impacting the lives of 307,000 youth, with 7% being women, through 4 key interventions. So we are looking at business development services, working with smallholder farmers and high-impact SMEs, working with the FIs to transform their business through their mindset change, their processes, their systems. How do we also provide some nimble capital to expand the ecosystem, and then working with partners like DFI within the enabling environment to impact young women as well. This you will do across Ghana, but then we'll focus on mainly 8 regions in ag value chains and adjacent. So that's everything to do with the value chain and how we impact that. In terms of target markets, we are looking at rural enterprises, youth, women-led businesses, farmers, processors. And this is our main focus, partnering with MasterCard to deliver this solution to the space. So being part of this webinar, it's very exciting. Women at the center, and that's what we aim to address. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Richard, for that introduction and to give more context to the First Plus 2 project. Now, I'd like Edmund Adi from GHAMFIN to talk about their contribution to the project and also give us more context about why we're here. I hand over to you, Edmund. Edmund, you're still on mute.
Hi, good afternoon to Tarino, and how are you? Thank you also for all who have joined us for this wonderful program. to quickly inform you, when you look at the financial landscape in Ghana with respect to the people who are working in the financial landscape together with clients, it's more of a pyramid type of system that we have. So the lower you go, the more that you have with the young people in there. We were privileged to be part of the first phase of the program, and majority of the things that we did was to do capacity building for financial institutions to be able to reach out to the clients that they serve. We are in the non-bank financial institution sector. And what we did was that in our first program, we were able to reach about 773 financial institutions, of which we trained 2,320 members or workers, or let's say practitioners in there. And out of that 2,320 people, we were able to train 721 female, but the youth that we reached in all was 888, and the female youth was just 308, meaning it's just about 35% of the female youth that we reached. The reason being that at the first phase of the program, we target mostly the high level management or the senior management level to be able to provide them with the various capacity building training that we did. And as you know, GHAMFIN has a peculiar way of working, because we deal with the various associations. Most of the TNA, which is the training needs assessment, come from these institutions. It's only the few generic ones that we try to work in. So what we are looking at, and I believe that that has also informed us coming to the second phase of the program, is to be able to now be more intentional in what we want to do. This time around, we want to reach more of those in the middle and then the lower levels, where we know that we have a lot of the female youth in there, so that we can be able to drive affairs with that. So with this intentionality, what we are doing more is that the various capacity trainings, capacity buildings that we're going to have for 2025, the focus will so much be on our ability to read those down there with capacity building that will include a lot of them. And then also, we are also looking at where we can have webinars like this, where we look at the female owned institutions to be able to give directions or to be able to give pep talk to young females in the sector who want to grow up. We are expecting that some of these discussions will even go to having some interaction with, or some platform with, the universities, among others, so that especially their business schools, so that those that are are thinking about coming out with entrepreneurial skills and whatever, will be able to go through all these areas and then be able to come in there. So these are the intentionalities that to us we are looking at, to be able to rope in more of the female youth come 2025. So I believe that our whole discussion here is to be able to look at how we can be able to, because in terms of what we do, we are looking at inclusive finance, providing support, financial and non-financial supports to all people within the bracket that we want to reach. And I believe that our vision also fall into Ghana's the Ministry of Finance vision. And it's more about making sure that at least everybody come into the financial space that we have in Ghana. So that is what we've been able to do. I mean, even at the second phase of the program, it will interest you to know that we have even started undertaking some capacity building trainings already. We've done 8 in-person training. We've done 2 webinars already. And then we, as I said, all these things are a way to inform us about what we want to do going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Edmund. And thank you, Richard, again for providing that context. It's so exciting to really be part of this project that is focusing on young women in Ghana and contributing to strengthening the ecosystem, to building, skilling and reskilling people who are interested in fintech, people who are interested in digital financial services. Now, at Digital Frontiers, we've been specialist capacity building Digital Frontiers Institute, which is the unit within Digital Frontiers that delivers the capacity building that is aligned to sustainable development goals. I think our flagship program, which is called the Certified Digital Finance Practitioner Program, is the one that focuses on inclusive finance. But we have a lot of other programs that are around sustainable development goals, including gender equality, which is a focus for this program as well. Digital financial inclusion supervision, which is specifically for supervisors in the regulatory sphere. Instant and inclusive payment systems, which is another part of the financial services ecosystem, and inclusive digital economies, which then talks about the gender divide and the complexity of society being even more digitized. I'm going to just share my screen a little bit so I can talk more around digital frontiers and just to introduce how we are part of this program. I think I'm good. Okay, great. Sorry, there's a missing logo here for the digital finance practitioners in Ghana, the association in Ghana that is a part of this program. I wanted to talk about digital frontiers and what we've done so far. So in our discussions for the First Plus Two program, we looked into our inclusive finance portfolio, which is called the Certified Digital Finance Practitioner Program. And we're very intentional about the type of courses that could be delivered to young women who are building their career within inclusive finance, building their career to serve MSMEs, to serve the agricultural value chains, and just to become impactful in inclusive finance. The portfolio that we have has a regulatory stream, a customers and use case specialization, and a tech enabler specialization. And we saw that the courses that would benefit these young women in Ghana who are falling within this persona that we've created for the First Plus Two would most likely be in the customers and uses of DFS. So we're now being customer-centric. We're looking at the innovations that could serve those that are most out of reach or the hardest to reach, and how we can improve the innovation of the products so that those that are serving them can be profitable, as well as increasing resilience for the markets that we need. When we're speaking about Ghana, and I know that Jeremy will talk a little bit more about this. There is, from the data that we have, there's a lot of entrepreneurial activities that are happening, and women are making up part of that informal market. So you'll see that the journey will also focuses on that informal market in order to be able to achieve the goals of the program. Okay. Some of the courses that we then thought would make an impact on the program as well as the participants include product management, which focuses on the product life cycle and the innovation that can come out of launching or putting forth a strategy for developing a product. And then there's digital finance for all, which really focuses on credit and the innovation that can come from credit products that are for the informal economy. And then MSME finance to actually define who are these MSMEs, group them, segment them, and then look at the financing gap and how we can reduce that or how it has an impact on the market. And then digitizing agriculture to look at how digital innovations can improve access to financial services in the agricultural sector. And then agent networks, which is really the distribution channel, and how we can expand that, or to look at the journey that agents have, or the expansion of agents has had on digital financial services itself. If we're looking at the mobile money story, I think agent networks anchors the growth of that. So mobile money, as it grows, the agents themselves have been growing. So we think that building capacity within that agent networks will increase the distribution channel. But in these 5 courses, it's important that we look at the youth definition of the persona that we have for First Plus 2. So Digital Frontiers is going to be very intentional about how these courses are delivered. I think product management will give you the set of the skilling, which will include project management and roadmaps for launching a new project. All of that is a skill that is required within digital financial services, with specific case studies that are to do with inclusive finance. Now, digital finance for all is when we're saying agriculture may have smallholder farmers who are hardest to reach. I know GHAMFIN has a network of rural banks who are on the ground and closest to these people. So if we build the skilling around launching new products, profitability models or business models, or just giving an array of case studies about how other countries or how other territories have done this and succeeded, and what sort of challenges they've met, can also prepare our young women who are launching themselves in this career to thrive. In MSME finance, I think MSME finance is one of our flagship courses, and it really gives you an overall overview of how this huge financing gap impacts the markets that we're talking about. I think in sub-Saharan Africa, I read somewhere that there's 117 billion of a gap in financing. So there's an unmet demand. We have a market in our informal economy, in our agricultural sector, that has a need for finance that is still unmet. So how do we prepare, or how do we make our financial services meet the needs for this sector? So these are some of the case studies that will be dealt in the actual course. When we talk about digitizing agriculture, I think if I am to recall, the First Plus 2 project identifies agriculture as a sector that is the most opportunity for creating jobs, the most opportunity for having an impact on youth and women in the country. So as a course that's anchoring that, digitizing agriculture is focuses on the organizations or the financial services organizations that are serving this market, and how we can build resilience in them to serve the target audience. I'm going to stop sharing. Okay. So these are the 5 courses that we've said are the First Plus 2 journey. And we're saying there's an opportunity through this project for people to get a scholarship, right? And we're going to be, because it's a scholarship, we're going to be intentional about the people that we select. There's a focus on women, there's a focus on youth. But I think we will have some men participating in the actual project. But remember, there is that focus on women. And I'd encourage everybody that is interested to apply. I think in the next session that our alumni is going to lead, they'll give you testimonials around their relationship with Digital Frontiers Institute, how they have taken some of these courses and how some of these courses have launched or made them excel in their or accelerate their careers. It's important that you prepare yourself for the application process because it is a seat that requires some motivation for you to participate. We also want you to make sure you do all the courses, pass, and not waste the opportunity. So it's an opportunity that you should take seriously. I'm going to stop over there because I feel like I've been rambling and introduce Jeremy for the next phase of the discussion. Jeremy, I'm handing over to you.
Thanks, Tariro. I heard the introduction, so I thought you were going to formally introduce me. But good afternoon or evening, everyone, depending on where you're coming from. So my name is Jeremy Queno. I am the president for the Ghana Digital Finance Practitioners Association. I also double as the CEO for JUMO Ghana and general manager for JUMO Africa. JUMO is a fintech that partners with the large banks and mobile network operators. But I think kicking that off, I'll share my screen so that I can explain more what exactly the fintech sector is, what exactly digital financial services are, and why I think everything that Tariro has said and all the speakers before her are quite key. Just to give you some of the insights that we are seeing as a practitioner working within the fintech space and as a member of the DFI community. So let me share my screen. Can I get some confirmation if everyone can see my screen? Awesome. Awesome. I see Richard nodding, so I'm assuming everybody else can see as well. Great. So fintech is just an acronym of finance and technology, and it's just the coming together of financial services and technology to make things easier, cheaper, more convenient, more accessible. I think that all of us have gone into a bank before, and maybe you've had a good experience in the bank because that's where you keep your money, that's where you go to get money, and so you like the experience of getting the money. But the actual experience of going in, queuing, having to speak to a teller who sometimes isn't having a good day, so they can't even raise their heads to smile at you or even respond to you, is not something that people really appreciate. Most people in this era would appreciate the ability to self-serve. And what I mean by self-serve is to be able to do things on their own. I think that as the industry has evolved because of the advent of technologies like the mobile phone, mobile money, and the penetration of technology, almost everything you want to do can be done from your phone. So financial technology has evolved as an industry where people have focused on certain aspects of the traditional financial services industry that isn't working as well, and they've enhanced it, put the power more in the hands of the people, so that when you wake up and you want to know your balance, it's not about taking a car and going to the bank. It's about just checking your phone, typing in a USSD code, or just going onto the website. And that essentially is what fintech is. It's just the acronym that brings a combination of finance and technology to create the acronym fintech. So just setting the scene there. Now, who are we as digital finance practitioners? I think Tariro said she left out the logo, so I've created an even bigger logo with faces so you see exactly who we are. So you can see all the lovely faces of the Digital Frontiers Institute. The subset in Ghana is called the Digital Finance Practitioners, Digital Finance Professionals Ghana, DFP Ghana. And essentially, we are dedicated to advancing digital finance transformation and sustainable development in Ghana. So these are people coming from all walks of life, from banks, from the public sector, from so many industries, telco, from investments, from insurance. There's always an element of technology that is going on in each sector. And I think that as it relates to money, we want to pool all of these great minds together, these great personalities together, so that we are all on this journey of digital finance advancement together. We recently had a get together, so you can see all the lovely faces. This is the best gathering of digital finance practitioners so that you can meet all the people that you could never schedule a meeting with. So you have managing directors who join us. You have head of technology departments that join us. You have people who are, leading the women's desk who join us. And you can see from the pictures, there's no antisocial person here. Everybody here is trying to engage, is friendly. So we are essentially all joining together to advance digital financial services in the country. Now, when I given an overview of the fintech ecosystem in Ghana, right? Typically the banks were dominating the financial services landscape. But as you've all noticed, there's certain elements of banking that just don't work well for people. People do not want to join queues. People do not want to wait 3 days for a payment to clear. So you've had a lot of technology companies that are called, fintechs, as you described, coming in, and now the regulator is also encouraging them to do more because they also recognize that banking could be more efficient, but the banks are not positioned to drive things as fast as they can. Right now we have over 100 fintechs that are licensed by the Bank of Ghana, as you can see here, and they fall into various categories. Different licenses have been created for the different fintechs or financial service providers, and they are now legitimized under the Fintech and Innovation Office of the Bank of Ghana. What this means is that there's opportunity beyond banking or beyond the traditional insurance or traditional financial services companies for people who are looking to take a step into the world of financial services. So there's multiple companies, multiple sectors, and a lot of opportunities. I work within let's call it the lending technology segment or domain of digital financial services, which is what Jumo does. So if any of you is familiar with the quick loan that is on MTN's menu or express loan or Ahumka loan, we are the technology partner that partners with the telco and the bank to actually do this for them, because on their own, they can't do it for themselves. So we've just been operational in Ghana since 2017, and we actually started kicking things off in the middle of COVID. But we are already at the point where we've served over 7.5 million customers since we started. Now, 7.5 million customers within, let's say, the span of 4 years is not something that a bank would have done on their own without the advent of technology, right? One of the best customer stories that I've heard is a woman who basically reached out to us. This is in our partner. We just expanded to Cote d'Ivoire, and her very first loan with us that she took was to get medicine for her child. Now, where she lives is in the remote or outskirts of town. So if an emergency happened, they would have to find a way to transport themselves to the nearest medical facility in order to get the kind of treatment that the child would need. However, the issue of financing would always be an issue. So you could get there and not have the money. But in this particular case, not only was she able to get the money instantly by accessing these digital financial services, she was able to get health tech that actually delivers meds to your home via technology via drone. So it really goes hand in hand with other industries. Once you solve the money issue with digital, it solves a lot of other issues. And there's a lot of testimonies in this regard, right? One of the things that we noticed was that once you add technology into financial services, you get to reach a lot of people who are not reachable before. One of the stats that we like to brag about as the fintech industry is the fact that when it comes to the velocity of loans you're able to give out now, all the people that didn't have access to financial services or history, that people would not lend to because they felt that they were risky. If Asantewa or Tariro did not have any kind of financial transaction history or bank account, nobody would actually extend any financial service to them. Now we're able to see that even your mobile phone, let's call it activity, is even a better predictor of whether you're a good person for a loan or a bad person for a loan. And because of that, we are now able to deliver loans up to 56 loans per minute. That means that we are only 4 loans shy of delivering a loan every second. And I'm sure in 2024, we'll be able to do that. And there's lots of women that we are able to include. Tariro already talked on the fact that there's a gap that we need to fill. A lot of the women that we're targeting within the digital financial space and also with this program are people who have or are people who have been on the outskirts, people who have been excluded. We see that only 33% of the base are women, and we realize that the kind of issues that need to be solved in order to bring more women in can only be solved by women. So we need more women to come into the space to get the kind of digital literacy, the kind of financial understanding that they can propose solutions. One of the findings that we got was one of our female, let's say, staff raised a question about how they noticed that women are more likely to learn from another woman if she's an agent, she's the agent that they're engaging with, and it's less intimidating for them. So if you have more women in the space, they are able to pull more women in, and that is what we're seeking to do. As of now, we are only serving about 33% of the base that is women, and we are looking to grow that significantly. One of the stories that I think I like to talk about is a lady in Ghana who sells we call it pure water on a headpan. Right. The way that she would typically do this is that in the morning she would borrow money from one of the people she lives in a compound house with, and then go buy the water, go sell it, and then she will hope that by the end of the day she would have made enough profit to pay the person back and then made some. Now, if she's not able to sell it by the end of the day, she has to hide till she's able to go and sell the next day in order to make that money back. Now, because she's able to take her phone, dial a USSD short code, access a savings product or a credit product, she doesn't actually have to borrow or hide from anybody. She now has the utility to do this on her own. So here are some of the roles that we find in the sector that we see a lot of women coming into. So there's product managers, the data analysts, the software developers, risk analysts, marketing specialists. The list goes on. We just don't have enough time for me to go through all of that. But we see a lot of women in the space, in the telcos, in the banks, in the fintechs that are taking on these roles. The key skills, I think what we are focusing on here is digital literacy, the analysis, the design, the compliance are all part of the courses that Tariro listed. And again, the gap, women only make up a small percentage of that workforce that we're trying to bridge. Right. So just to summarize, fintech is less than 10% complete. There's a lot of opportunity that we are seeing in the space, and we are looking to bring more women in the space. And AI has conveniently told me that the future of finance is female. So I'm asking that all of you just take the initiative and try to plug this gap that we all have. Hope we're good. Over back to you, Tariro.
Thank you, Jeremy, for that presentation. It was very, very good and interesting. And I'm excited about the opportunity for women as customers and women within the digital financial services industry themselves. This is what the First+2 project is all about. So I would like now to introduce our program coordinator. This is the First+2 coordinator, program coordinator, to lead a panel discussion. And I can see that there have been some questions that are in the chat. I think we'll have some time to address them. Just to say that the opportunity to apply, we're actually creating a micro site for this program, and that's where you'll find all the details. This webinar is actually gathering the information, gathering the people who have interest. So we will be communicating all of these things on how to apply and the criteria itself. But now I want to turn over to Asantewa to introduce herself and also lead the panel discussion. Over to you.
Thank you, Tariro. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're coming from. My name is Asantewa, and I am the programs coordinator. And this afternoon, our mission here is very simple. We have all been beneficiaries of the certification program. I did the Certified Digital Finance program, and it has helped me in my career. I'll introduce my panelists after our discussion. I think I'll be the last to share my story. So joining me for our discussion this afternoon would be Dr. Melissa Baba. She is a lecturer at Southampton University, and she is a beneficiary. I know she did product management and other courses with Digital Frontiers Institute. And then I have Barbara Mafo. She is a certified digital finance practitioner. She currently works with EcoBank Ghana. So you see me calling all the big names, and you should know that there is prospect for you. And then I have the vice president of the Digital Finance Professionals Ghana, Nanaya Danso, who also is working with Fidelity Bank here in Ghana. So my panelists, good afternoon, good evening, good morning. I'll start with Melissa, and then I'll take them through. They would answer questions for me. And if there is something that they say you want follow up, I'm sure after the session we can discuss that. Melissa, let me start with you. You worked in the fintech industry in Ghana for over 15 years before moving on to academia. What inspired your journey? And if you took a digital finance course or any of the courses from Digital Frontiers Institute, how has that propelled your career?
All right. Thank you very much, Eunice, Tairu, and all who've spoken, and to our attendees. This is really an exciting program. So what inspired my journey in the fintech field was the opportunity to get a job. Right after school, you just look for a job, and I joined at a time that the industry was really growing. I won't even call it an industry. I just think it was a collection of companies. And I worked with the National Payments Company. But over the years, what I realized was that there was a huge gap in knowledge between what we were delivering to customers and we, the ones who were doing the product design and the delivery. And so speaking to a few mentors, I was pointed to the DFI Institute. I think one of the first programs I did was for free. It was a scholarship. And I answered a few questions and got onto the program. And I recall harnessing Asantua on that journey because I had already started my PhD. So this was an extra burden I felt at the time. But I had looked at the introduction of their products, the programs, and felt that it looked really interesting. It would be worth my time. And so the both of us applied for the scholarship and we began the journey. And I must say that it's impacted me in a number of ways. The first was a quick change in the way I understood the landscape I operated in. Working in games, I had worked in various capacities as products, business development. I've worked in back office, I've worked on arbitrations, I've done training, I've done research. What this training from Digital Frontiers did was to sort of bring to fore what the landscape looks like and to crystallize all the different parts that we felt were unique or different to Ghana, and to sort of provide a way of building capacity and knowledge of what we're doing. And so the first impact was that my output on the job changed. I had a greater command over what I did. The second impact was that I was doing my PhD in understanding how the fintech field was emerging, because it was emerging at the time I started in 2016. Now, this training from DFI, what it did for me was to also put in perspective the different structures that make up the fintech field. So the products, how they are designed, how they are targeted, and the unique customers that we have, because a large proportion of customers in the fintech field are unbanked. And so there's no historical understanding of what this unbanked market looks like and how they would interact with financial services that they've never met before. So that was the second change I saw. Now, the third change happened over time was that I saw greater career opportunities. Okay. And so I had options. All right. So my initial academic qualification as well as my work experience were there, but having this additional experience from DFI gave me a third leverage. And for me, I chose to come into academia, which for me is, is the one that feeds the workforce and is the one that's seriously deficient when it comes to understanding the fintech space.
Very much, Melissa. I know you took one question before I go to Barbara and then Nana. I know you took the course in products management. Yes. Prior to that course, okay, so what was what was the wow factor, or how did that course help you with what you're already doing? Because you're already in the fintech space. You've mentioned that, the DFI course sort of opened you up to what the fintech industry was about. So you got to know that it was beyond the payment systems and developing infrastructure and then doing switching and settlements for banks and partner institutions. How did the products management course help you deliver your tax and your responsibility? And how did it broaden your understanding and scope about how fintech solutions are developed?
So I was motivated to take that course because one thing had become obvious over my career. It was that we really did not understand the target market. I didn't know how to match the products we're designing to these target markets. And there was also a big gap between the workforce that did the work, the operational staff, the junior staff, and the very senior staff who take the decision and influence the spending. For the organization where I worked, most of the senior staff were traditional bankers, okay? And they understood banking, not fintech. And so there was a real struggle for us to say, okay, this is a contactless payment, this is a mobile money wallet, this is lending on these services, and it will be targeted to these customers. That communication was really difficult. And so that was a motivation to take this course. Now, when I took the course, I realized that, okay, there was a way we could conceptualize, fintech products and services. It had this unique product life cycle, had this unique product targeting, it had its unique communication that you couldn't just lift the existing way we did banking for the banked community and just copy and paste. But they also had a way of helping you translate this understanding to those who control the purse. And for me, that was a change I saw, was that I handled business analysis in the organization. Taking that course helped me present each product performance in the way that motivated management to support our decisions when it came to spending for product design, spending for communication, and supporting the marketing drives that we saw. And so that was a big takeaway for me for that product, for that course, was that it was finding an alignment between what we understood on the ground and getting the people who take the decision to support that direction.
Last question for you, Melissa, then I'll move to the other one. There is a young girl on this program. She has this opportunity to pursue this DFI scholarship. You mentioned this. My first was also a scholarship. Yours was a scholarship. And then we noticed that there was more to the scholarship. So we proceeded and then to the certification. Now the young girl is looking at you. Why should she take advantage of this opportunity?
So I think the first thing is that DFI has courses that are very unique to them. You can do a quick Google search. I'm in academia now, and a lot of universities do not have these courses. The other thing is that the courses are curated to fit our context in the global south. Okay. And so when you're on the courses, you can actually, it's a lived experience. All right. They are not abstract, they are not beyond your thinking. All right. These are courses that are very relatable, very practical. It's also in piecemeal. Okay, it's self-paced, so there's no pressure on you such that you need to do everything within a short time. They've been able to translate this academic experience to a more relaxed human experience. And then I'll say, as a young girl, look, there are opportunities in the fintech field. As Jeremy pointed out, we are less than 10%. It's a heavily male-dominated environment, mainly because it is riding on technology and there's that aversion to technology. Okay, but in my experience, it's been one of the best career decisions I've taken to take the DFI course, because its impact transcends beyond just what you do on your job. It opens so many pathways for you. I am where I am today simply because of these added advantage of the DFI courses I've taken.
Thank you, Melissa. So, Barbara, let me come to you. Barbara, your first question. So, what skills or traits have been very critical on your journey? I know you did the certification program as well, and you work with a very big bank like EcoBank. How has EcoBank Ghana, how has the DFI program, the certification, how has it impacted your work? How has it improved, and how has it increased your market value, let me say, as a professional?
Okay, good evening, everyone, or good afternoon, wherever you find yourself. I'm grateful for this opportunity. I will say that DFI is my identity. If you ask me who I am, I'll tell you I'm a certified digital finance practitioner. I'm a certified gender change maker. I will not even say I'm a banker. It has given me an identity. It has given me a personal brand, and it has given me so many skills. I enjoy the online learning. I have known DFI for over almost 10 years. Ophelia Ama Oni introduced me. I also got scholarship. It was the first time I could apply a scholarship and get it, and I was so amazed. And if I tell you how I even got to do the certification, I got an email. That was a direct email to me that I could do the certification also for free. And I've benefited so much, and I owe everything to DFI. It is my personal brand. It has shown me so many things. I've known how to organize webinars. host webinars, moderate sessions, and I've had valuable industry networking with valuable people of relevance, and so many other things. Recently, I was approached by uh, one of the leads in the fintech space to be an ambassador for the Fintech Awards 2025. DFI has given me visibility in the fintech space. Thank you.
DFI has given her visibility in the fintech space. And Barbara, I agree with you 100%. The visibility. Now, there's a young girl who wants to do this, but she's unsure. Melissa spoke extensively about why they should join and why they should come on board. Now, in your experience, how does a platform, in your experience, can you briefly explain your experience, your training process, and how the training was done, and how that process helped you to achieve the training goals? Because it's a certification, it's self-paced. What did you do to ensure that you were able to fully complete the program and get your certification?
Sorry, I got a little distracted. Is
Okay,
my microphone okay now?
Yes,
All right.
it's on.
Okay. Can you repeat for me just a second, please? If you can repeat
Okay,
it.
actually that. Or should I switch to Nanaya whilst you figure it out and then I
No,
come back?
I'm okay now.
Okay now.
I'm
Okay.
okay now.
Okay. So I was saying that you took the course. I mean, there are a lot of young girls on here now. You've mentioned how it has given you visibility, which I agree 100%. Now I want you to briefly touch on the training, the self-paced nature. If I am afraid, I'm scared, I'm like, okay, I want to give this a try, but I'm not sure how the whole process is going to be, how I'm going to do it. What advice would you give such a person so that when eventually they make up their mind, they know that they are truly embarking on a journey that is worth it? If you can give us some pointers on how you did it, the nature of the course that made it so attractive to you that you stayed from just the first program through to the certification.
Okay. Thank you so much for this. So I really enjoyed the self-paced nature of the DFI courses. In one of the courses, I had even given birth, but the fact that I was a nursing mother, and even when I'm breastfeeding my baby, I could go online, listen to the video lectures, and it was very, very useful. I think the nature of the course made it easy for me. And one thing that I always said to myself is to be able to be successful in this, you need to dedicate time. Even if you dedicate 3 hours or even 4 hours of your day to learn, you will be able to make it. So it is a very
Sorry,
good
please
course. The
repeat
fact that
again.
oh wow. Hello, is it better?
Okay, it's better, yes.
Okay. So I'm saying, even when in the comfort of my home, wherever I could listen to videos, answer questions, and I was able to pass successfully. Thank
Okay,
you.
so were there moments where you doubted yourself whilst doing the program? And if you did, how did you push through during those trying moments? Because you are certified now, so eventually it means that you got there. But were there moments where you felt like, can I really do this? Can I really complete this program? And if they were, how did you overcome those hurdles just so you could complete the program?
Well, I think that there are moments like that, but because of the community of practice that we have, it's more like group studies, interaction with other classmates were very, very encouraging. So even when you think you can't do it, looking at where others are going, looking at the fact that you can share your thoughts with others, made it very easy. So I think, those moments I was helped by my colleagues, I was encouraged by my mentors, and that really made me sail through. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Now let me go to my last panelist, and after that, I'll wrap it up with my experience and how the course has benefited me personally. So, Nana Yao, are you on? I can't seem to see you.
Hi.
Hi, Nana.
I hope you can.
Okay, I can see you clearly. So, Nana, you are a man. We heard from Jeremy's introduction. We
Yes.
all know that because it's tech-based, there are a lot of men who are already on there. I want to find out from you, if your sister was on this call and you needed to give her some advice, 3 of them, on why you think this program is a program she should take advantage of. What advice or what 3 topmost advice would you give her?
Yeah. For me, I think we, in the world we are today, we are all aware of the increased advocacy and how we are trying to push women, and especially young women, into some of these fields, especially in STEM. And financial inclusion still remains a space that receives a lot of funding and a lot of focus. One such example is this scholarship that has come up. And so the opportunities are boundless. And so I would advise them to take up that opportunity. Personally, working on different projects, I realize that the women usually bring a very special touch to our projects. I think they are more empathetic and they are able to even understand the customer needs better. And because of that understanding, it translates into even how the products and the features come out. And it's not saturated, it continues to be funded. There's still a growing industry. And so there are so many opportunities for them. That will be the first one. They should go for it. Secondly, I know it can be daunting. At a point, you get to a point, and we know sometimes in our part of the world, some of the other extra burdens or extra things that women have to do. And we are looking at the men also on this call, supporting all of the ladies, doing your fair share. It's a partnership, and so they can proceed. When they face those blockers and when they have those bottlenecks or they face those issues, they should persevere. Once you persevere, you are definitely going to be successful. And you can see, even from our digital finance practitioners Ghana, I think our executive base is balanced between men and women. And I must say the women are even more out there, and they end up, Barbara, yourself, you end up pushing us along to get us to do what we have to do. And that is what women also bring to this program. Lastly, I would say that the world is theirs. There's so much to do out there, and who knows, they may be the next people hosting webinars like this. We may have, out of this cohort, you may have people who will be the next Tariro, maybe the next Asantua, being the whole project manager for such a big project. And so I am excited, and I'm looking forward to working with yourselves and the GHAMFIN, CAPLAS, and DFI to ensure that we can really execute this and really make an impact in our space.
Tariro, do I have a little more time? I just want to take some 1 questions each from them. Do I have some time, or we are?
Give you a minute.
Okay.
Address some of the questions that are coming through. Yes, go ahead.
Okay. All right. So
Eunice, you're muted.
sorry, thank you. So when you take this particular scholarship, what we are going to do is that we're going to have something like a community of practice, like what we currently have, where job opportunities and other opportunities are announced for women within the space to take advantage of. I'm bringing this and linking it to mentorship. How do you see this program being an opportunity to grow and mentor other women, or expose these young women to other women who have been in the profession? That's one part. And then the second part is, how does mentorship help young women in the fintech industry to achieve their goals and to excel as professionals in the space.
Did you direct it to me, Eunice?
Yes, you, Melissa.
Okay. All right. Okay. So I think mentorship is very critical because a lot of the things you would see are new. There's a lot of new learning going on. And so when you have someone who is a mentor, someone who's already done the program, what you do is that you can bounce ideas off the person, you can get encouragement, and you can get direction. Another form of mentor, I would say, is to get a peer, someone who is taking the course with you to serve like a check and balance and to motivate each other along the journey so that you don't feel too lonely. So it's a very critical component. Again, the DFI Association is very big, very diverse. And when you take the scholarship, you are going to be able to tap into a reservoir of very talented persons in the industry in Ghana and outside Ghana who are ever willing to give you support, to give you motivation, and to give you direction.
Hey, Mel, one last question for you, and I'm done. And I'm done with you. Did you have any mentors who have influenced your career, and how did you find them? How did DFI, this whole DFI ecosystem, help you find those mentors?
So my first mentor was Madam Clarissa. She used to be one of the directors at the Central Bank. And it was through a conversation, she mentioned DFI because we're putting together a program and she had done one of the programs and she spoke very highly of them and they had come recommended by the World Bank. Okay. And then I got the scholarship to do it. But then when I joined, I was curious to find if there were other people in Ghana who had done it. And so on a Google search, I found Ama Oni, emailed her, and she was extremely receptive, very forthright with information. She was so excited that by then there was no association really, but her name came up online and she was so close by. And so we met up and that's how the community sort of grew. And so when we decided to set up form an association, it was really an exciting period for me because I felt that then you have a reservoir of people you could go to. Just to add to that, these mentors and these connections were critical in my PhD research because they were the ones who provided me the interviews and the information I needed. And they've remained critical in my career because you can still go back to these people for direction, for support. So it goes beyond the training, it goes beyond the DFI education. It is an entire community of practice, people who are together as one big family.
Yeah, so when you join and you take up the course, you can be assured that we would all be here. All the women that you're seeing, they would be your mentors. We would push them to you. They don't have a choice. Barbara will be a mentor, Melissa will be a mentor, and a lot of them would get them to talk to you. You can ask all your personal questions, and you can be sure that you are safe because we are going to make sure that you finish the program, you get all the needed support that you need, so that you can also someday be here sharing your story to inspire others. Tariro, I think I would let you ask the questions. And then if we have time, Barbara and Nana would give us their final words, and then maybe I'll wrap up. Or we should close so that when you come in, you don't have to come back to us.
All right, thank you, Cynthia. I've been seeing some questions here relating to age. So the program is focusing on youth, right? So there's that youth element. And then the definition of youth is between 15 and 35, but I can assure you we're not really targeting 15-year-olds. Somewhere within that age range is our sweet spot. In the application for the scholarship, you will have to motivate, and that's how you'll get a seat on the scholarship. And I think that Asantewa will be doing some one-on-one interviews. So there's also an interview process where you get to motivate as to why you should get that seat on the program. So it's important. In terms of somebody who was asking that they're in the agricultural sector, I think we won't be limiting at this point because it's the sector that is key within the First Plus Two project as well as for Ghana. So put in your application as soon as you get that communication from Digital Frontiers, put in your application and it'll get through the process. Then there's the issue about men and their participation. Now, there are two personas that are part of this project. The first one is the non-bank financial services as well as the GHAMFIN network. In that persona, there are men included. We're saying that we're targeting women customers, we're targeting women in digital financial services, and that there's a gap between 35% or 25%, the indicators that have been discussed in this webinar. So there's that shortage. But we are preferring or encouraging young women to apply, and men as well. But there is that preference or that anchor for young women to participate in this space that we see the gap. And then there's the other persona, which is young women in STEM. And this persona is 100% women. But these young women are in the gap. We're getting them work ready, or they're curious about fintech. So there's that other persona. So you need to indicate and make sure that you're aligning to the persona. And then the criteria as well, which will be shared, and I'm sure our program coordinator will be active in sharing this. Within the GHAMFIN network, within the non-bank financial services, we understand that you've already joined the market. So the experience level is different from the young women in STEM product that is 100% young women who are in the gap. They've just finished school. They might be looking for tertiary education. They are curious about fintech. So there's that differentiation. So you have to describe in your application process, and there'll be two distinct application processes, so you'll know which one you're applying for. I know that we've run over, but I think the conversation has been very interesting. So I'm going to hand over to Asantewa to finish up.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Tariro. So, Barbara, I'll take your final words. Like the question I asked Melissa earlier, there is a young girl here. She desperately wants this training. What would you say? She's come to you for advice. What would you tell her?
Can you let Nanayao handle this for me?
Okay, all right. Nanayao, can you please take that?
Yes, and thank you, Asantua. So this young girl who would come to me, I'm sure she'll go to Barbara first before she comes to myself, and Barbara would refer her. I'll tell her that she should definitely make the application because there are a lot of prospects in this program for her. Secondly, I think we've mentioned that there's a need for her to have a mentor, and some of these mentors will help her along the way. They also help to guide her in her career pattern, even as she progresses. Lastly, I'd also ask her to have a view on an idea of what she would like to do in terms of her career. As Tariro mentioned, there are two streams. We have the GHAMFIN, and then we have the women, the young ladies in STEM. So she has a view of what she wants to do. I think based on the skill set, will determine whether it's a tech focus, whether you're looking at UI, UX, whether you're looking at development coding, whether you're looking at financial inclusion. You should have these goals for yourself. And when you set those goals and write them out and actually put timelines to them, it helps you to be able to work and aspire to reach them. So that would be the things I would advise this young lady to do. And I'll be very, very sure, and I'll anticipate that she would be very successful.
Thank you. Melissa, your final words. Then I would wrap up and hand over to Tariro.
Yes, I think that's a good opportunity for you to take. There's too much meat doesn't spoil the soup. What DFID does is to enhance your opportunities in the fintech field, and that is a rapidly growing sector. So make yourself eligible. I would advise everyone who is within their criteria to put an application, make a strong case, and you won't regret your decision.
Thank you, Melissa. So let me share my story. I had gone to see the same Clarissa. She's also a mentor with Melissa. And then she mentioned, have you ladies heard of Digital Frontiers Institute? And we were like, no. She says, okay, they're doing these courses in the fintech space. So you guys should just go and check it out. And then we go and we are registering for digital finance for all. And then I don't know what happened, but some way, somehow, apparently I applied for the certification program without even knowing that I had applied for but that's one of the blessed mistakes I made. So it was a mistake, but it was a blessing. So I eventually took the program, and regardless of my background, because my background is in communication. So you would think that, oh, you have a social science background or something, and so this is something you cannot do. I took the course, and my first benefit was the exposure to the scope of the industry, because we work in a payment systems industry, and you think that everything fintech revolves around payments. But my first shock was the broader understanding of what the whole financial technology space was about and how the industry was growing rapidly. And that was my first shocker. And then when I took the courses like the product management, it gives you a better understanding of even how these fintech solutions are developed. And being women, Jeremy said that the future of finance is female, because we are talking about the gap in the usage of financial services, and we are at a disadvantage. So imagine having an understanding of how products are designed and being a woman and contributing to that need. We see agents all around us. Imagine you being an agent where other women can come to and they would feel safe transacting business with you. Now, to my benefits, the programs coordinator position I have today was because I did the certification in digital finance. And prior to that, I had other consultancy gigs with other international organizations that are interested in digital finance. So the opportunities for us are enormous. And I would advise you, if you are listening, you're a woman, you're already in the space. By being with GHAMFIN, means that you are with either GALSAG, or you are with Apex Bank, or you are with any of their credit unions, you are already in the finance space. What you do to yourself by taking this course is that you add an icing to your cake. You broaden your scope. Now, technology is redefining finance, so you don't want to be left out. It's either you take part, understand how you can improve your services through technology and help deliver it well to other people, or you stay there, others would go ahead of you. They understand how technology is shaping finance, and eventually they become more relevant than you are. Barbara spoke about visibility. You owe it yourself to give yourself that boost, that visibility by taking this program. So we are looking forward to receiving as many applications as possible. Thank you, Pariro. Thank you, my panelists. You've been wonderful and amazing. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Nana. Tariro, over to you.
Thank you, Asante, our program coordinator for the First Plus 2 project. Thank you, and very well done there. I know we're over, but I know that there's some questions that have been posed here. I'm going to just give a few minutes to our program director, Richard, and Edmund, to just comment on some of the questions related to men participating, related to age range, just so that we can have the anchor from the organizations that are really anchoring the project. Richard?
For your response, but am I clear?
Yes, you are.
So the age range is 15 to 35, and the focus is mainly on women. 70% of our impact should be for women. We have about 307,000 youth that we must impact. 70% must be women. So mainly women, but men can also participate. And the age range for you to note is 15 to 35. That's the program focus. And I think we must work to ensure that that is almost like 80 to 90% of the cohorts or the participants that we train within each cohort. Thank you. Edmond, if there's anything to add on that side as well.
Right, Richard. I think that you hit it. You hit the hammer right on the head of the nail. But we believe that looking at what we want to do, we also encourage men to come in, because at times you realize that in certain faculties or in certain areas, men becomes more the driving force to be able to pull women along. So it depends on how you are going to, to put your application through, and let us also see that, hey, you are there to be able to ensure that maybe what you learn or what you gain, you'll be able to pull this class of young people, along. But what even came to mind quickly was the fact that since it's a scholarship program, we're going to have a cutoff point. Now, what then happens to the other people that might express interest? There is no scholarship, but they want to, get this type of training to be able to enhance their activities.
All right. So thank you very much to you both. I think this has been a good convening. Thank you for everyone who participated. Thank you for asking questions. There will be an opportunity alongside this program to join communities of practice. Digital Finance Practitioners Ghana will be holding alumni events, and they will be providing that mentorship, that networking within the ecosystem. So there's a great opportunity here. So share wide, ask questions using the info. We're going to be sharing more information with the contact details that we have. So look out for that. But visibility within this project is going to be very wide. So we'll make sure that information gets to you. And of course, we have our program coordinator in Ghana who will be sharing more information. So look out for her communication. At this stage, I want to say thank you to everyone who participated, and looking forward to launching the project and getting people upskilled in the First Plus 2 project. I'm going to end the webinar. Thank you.